Boston Celtics get another very easy road win. This time they shut down the MVP, Nikola Jokic. It's all Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and this outfit just fits perfectly. These guys are the best road team in the league. I'm going to explain why right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team, step back. We gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course, the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, keep John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast. Thank you for making this show part of your daily routine and your first listen every day. I really do appreciate you doing that. This show is free, available wherever you get your podcasts. It's also available on YouTube. Please watch the show on YouTube and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. I'm John Karalis. I cover the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. I've written a book called The Boston Celtics All-Time All-Stars, which if you're watching the show, it's right here in my hand. It's also in my background. You want to buy a copy? You can get it on my website, johnkaralis.com. $30 gets you a signed copy. You got holidays coming up, Mother's Day, Father's Day. You want to give a gift for a birthday. It's a great gift for a Celtics fan. $30. I got a new shipment in, so these things can go out right away. $30 on johnkaralis.com. Boston Celtics beat the Denver Nuggets 124-104 in Denver. They are 3-0 on this road trip, this critical road trip where we were like, 2-2. Okay, we'll accept 2-2. 3-1, maybe they can split the Golden State and Denver matchup. 4-0, oh my God, throw a party if it's 4-0. Well, here we are, 3-0. Celtics beat the Nuggets 124-104. They play the Oklahoma City Thunder on Monday night, which will be an interesting game. I don't know who's going to play, what the situation there is going to be. I don't know how Ime Udoka is going to handle this. And right away, I'm just wondering is this going to be something that he thinks, well, I might have rested some guys, but if we have this opportunity to go 4-0, then you got to take it because the Celtics are now tied for third in the East, and Miami and Philly play on Monday night. So while the Celtics and the Thunder are playing, Miami and Philadelphia will be playing. So let's just quickly reset this. Miami's the number one seed. They probably will be the one seed. There's 10, 11 games left depending on the team. Tough to make up that stretch, but Milwaukee now in second. 3 games back. Philly and Boston, 3.5 games back. Philly has 1 fewer loss, but also 1 fewer win. So they have percentage points ahead of Boston, but they haven't played as many games as the Celtics have. So the Celtics at 44-28 are 3.5 games back. The Sixers at 43-27 are 3.5 games back. Milwaukee is off on Monday night. So this is very simple. If the Celtics win on Monday night, if the Celtics beat the Oklahoma City Thunder, they will be tied for the second seed one way or another. If Miami beats Philadelphia, then Philadelphia falls 4.5 games back. Boston stays 3.5, and Milwaukee loses a half game, right? So then it's Miami, Milwaukee, Boston tied 3.5 back, and then Philly drops a game behind them. Or if Philadelphia wins, then it's Miami, then Philadelphia 2.5 games behind. And if the Celtics also win, they're tied with Philly. They stay tied with Philly 2.5 games back, and they'll be a half game ahead of the third place Milwaukee Bucks. So either way, as long as the Celtics win, they will be tied for the second seed in the East. And if Philly wins 2.5 games out with 9 games to play or 8 games to play, not likely, but not impossible. And the fact that the Celtics are going down the home stretch where they have played now 72 games. So 10 games left. 10 games left with, and if they have that win, 9 games left after the Oklahoma City game, 2.5 games out of first place. This team, after everything that they've been through, a chance to take the top seed in the East. I'll take you back to the last podcast that we did, me and Tom Westerholm, the Friday podcast. Ime Udoka, coach of the year. If the Celtics take the top seed in the East, you have to consider Ime Udoka as coach of the year. And I know that Monty Williams will get it because the Phoenix Suns are going to be a 60-win team and he will deserve it. But man, if the Celtics can get up to close to 50 wins or actually get to 50 wins and get to that top seed or top 2 seed, whew. But let's get back to this game because this game turned around in the second quarter. I thought at the beginning of this game it was going to follow script. They were tied at 22, and even Nikola Jokic was on the floor and he was playing great that first quarter. He was kind of everything. In fact, the first quarter numbers, I'll show you. The Jokic was 3 of 8, 1 of 2 from 3, 5 of 6 from the line. He scored 12 points in the first quarter. He scored 21 in the game, but 12 in the first quarter. And then he sat, and the Celtics took over. Daniel Tice, I'll get into second segment. I'll get into individual performances. Then I'll get to the road numbers. I'll specifically focus on some of the road numbers later on. First of all, today's show is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. But Daniel Tice I wouldn't have bet on this. Daniel Tice scoring 7 points in that stretch at the end of the first quarter. Celtics built up a lead after one that you thought, okay, Celtics are up 33-27 after the first quarter. Jokic sat down. This is how this game is supposed to go. Play the Jokic minutes even, and then win the times he has to sit on the floor, and you can probably get out of here with a 12-point win. You feel really good about that because you go toe-to-toe with the MVP, and Jokic has been awesome for most of this year. We just saw what he did to Joel Embiid in the Philadelphia 76ers. We've seen Jokic be amazing. So you thought, okay, just give yourself enough pad so in the fourth quarter when he goes and does MVP things, you have enough to hold on. Didn't work out that way. Second quarter, this thing turned in a heartbeat. Will Barton hits a 3, 6:08 to go. It's 44-39. And then all of a sudden, hellfire raining from above for the Celtics. And it starts with the defense, but not turnover defense. They just forced a bunch of misses, and they cleaned up the misses, and they turned around and just got super, super hot from the field. Here's my favorite stat from this entire game is from this stretch. So this isn't the stat. It's a 24-4 run to close the second quarter and head into halftime up 25. In that stretch, they went 9 of 11, 6 of 8 from 3. Here's the stat. They had 5 assists on those 9 baskets. 5 different guys got assists on those 9 baskets. The ball was moving. The ball was popping. You had that little flip from Marcus Smart. So Jayson Tatum is in the left corner. He drives. He kicks. It goes baseline again. Out to Marcus Smart, who drives again and flips it behind his back. The ball crosses court 3 times, ends up in that in that left corner 3 separate times. And then Al Horford drills a 3-pointer. 5 different guys got assists on 9 buckets during a 24-4 run. The ball was moving. It was just something that we haven't seen, or we haven't seen to this level. I mean, the Celtics offense in that run was phenomenal. And you had in that run, Jayson Tatum had 9 points. Peyton Pritchard had 9 points. And then what's that? 18. So then 6 other guys each scored a bucket, right? Yes. That's 24. I don't have that stretch in the box score in front of me. So I'm doing quick math in my head, which is always incredibly dangerous. And I'm still not 100% confident that I got that right. The beatdown was so thorough, so destructive that Michael Malone said, you know what? Starters, you're not starting the second half. The bench unit's starting the second half. This is the quote from Michael Malone. If somebody is kicking our ass and we're fighting and competing and they're just better than us, so be it. They're a very good team. But if we're getting our butts kicked and we're just taking it, possession after possession, heads are dropped, body language giving in, I'm not going to reward that behavior. There are principles in life and they go against every principle in my body. That is a man who was pissed at his team. The Celtics broke them in that second quarter. They did nothing right. After the game, Nikola Jokic said, this is on me. He blamed himself for the entire loss. And look, you can't blame one person for this, but Jokic in that stretch was 2 of 9. I'm sorry. The entire Nuggets were 2 of 11. Jokic was the only guy who scored in that 6 minute and 8 second stretch. That's the pivotal point of the game. Celtics imposing their will. The fact that we're still talking about this, and I really do have to take my own advice. The Celtics are just good. And I've got to stop thinking like, wow, I can't believe that this is this team. But the way that they're good is just so astounding that I cannot fully grasp, and I may never fully grasp, how a team that was so bad or so mediocre looks like this team. That 6 minute and 8 second stretch was as dominant a stretch as you're going to see in NBA basketball against a good team. This wasn't 28-2 against the JV Brooklyn Nets. This was the Denver Nuggets with the MVP, and they've got good players. And by the way, they got Monty Morris back, and they're starting to get better, but they're a good team. Celtics, man. I'll say this. The Celtics are a contender. I wrote this on Boston Sports Journal in my game report. The Celtics are a contender. I'm going to expand on that when I come back. First, let's talk about Built Bar, which is the best tasting protein bar in the market. But some of you still aren't really sure. You're not really convinced. Not a problem. Go to Built.com. Use the promo code LOCK15. Pick anything you want. Anything you want, you're going to get 15% off. Don't bother. Pick a flavor. Pick whatever. You want puffs? You want something else? They've got the marshmallow. Built Puffs is like a protein-infused marshmallow. Just go try it. Lock15, you're going to get 15% off. They've got great customer service. You can tell them, I hated this. They'll probably give you your money back. Most of these Built Bars are going to give you 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, 17 grams of protein, right? I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to head onto that treadmill. I'm getting myself back into shape. I'm doing 3 miles on the treadmill. That 3 miles, I know that 130 calories, I'm burning more than that. So there's my negative caloric intake there. That's going to help me lose the weight. I'm going to get back into the weight room. I'm lifting. 17 grams of protein is going to fuel my muscle gains, get myself back into basketball shape. One more go around with the basketball. So it doesn't have to be that for you, though. It could be a snack, could be a meal replacement, could be anything. Could just be something you just like to eat. Go to Built.com, check it out. Built.com, promo code LOCK15, 15% off every single time at Built.com. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Are you a hockey fan? If you are, we've got this really great thing happening on the network. So Monday is the trade deadline for the NHL, which is wild to me that it's this late. But what we're doing on the NHL channel is we're getting basically all of the NHL shows to go live at 3:00, the trade deadline. So if you're a hockey fan, check it out. Check out Locked On Bruins. You should be checking out all the other Boston. If you're a Boston sports fan, Locked On Bruins, Locked On Red Sox, Locked On Patriots. You can't go wrong. Just circle through them all. Check out Locked On Bruins. Check out the Locked On Network. NHL trade deadline, 3:00, half-hour live broadcast. Every NHL team is represented. So that should be a fun thing on the network. You can get all caught up on everything that's happening in the NHL at trade deadline. I know the Bruins have made some moves, so hopefully that works out for the Bruins. Nothing more fun in Boston than two teams going through a playoff run at the same time. And then you get this stretch, baseball's back, football is, they're starting to make their free agent signings and trades and all that. So this is a great time of year. Let's get back to the Celtics, though, which is why you're here. Celtics are, in fact, indeed a contender. I was hesitant to say that before because they hadn't proven that. I'm in. I'm bought in. Celtics are a contender. Which team in the East is head and shoulders above the Celtics? You say that team is by far better than the Celtics. Don't even pretend that the Celtics are good enough to beat this team. Is it Milwaukee? That's going to be the one that people throw. Milwaukee, you can say they'd be favored. They'd be favored in a series, but who's going to guard Tatum and Brown? How are they going to how do they guard each other? This is going to that would be a hell of a series. You want to throw out Philadelphia, the Sixers? I actually hope the Celtics get the Sixers. That's how confident I am in the Celtics being able to not only defend the Sixers, that the Sixers have no way, nobody, no chance at stopping the Celtics. No chance at stopping the Celtics at all. And you might argue, well, who's going to stop Embiid? Okay, fine. Who's going to stop Harden? Well, first of all, Harden's going to stop Harden in the playoffs. That's generally how it goes. And Embiid, I don't know. At some point, I expect him to run out of gas because that's what he generally does. And hey, even if Embiid goes off, fine. The Celtics, I think, can outscore the Sixers. Brooklyn, well, the Celtics just beat Brooklyn, and that was a playoff type of game. That was the Celtics. We've been through that. The Celtics making adjustments, in-game adjustments, changing things. That was a playoff type game. That was going to be those playoff rotations. Celtics have proven they can beat Brooklyn, especially if, and it doesn't look like the vaccine mandate's going to change in New York. So they're not going to have Kyrie for half that series. So yeah, pick a team. Celtics can beat them. Then you go out west and you say, okay, well, Phoenix. All right, Phoenix, Memphis is young, Golden State, like all of these teams, there's no team out there that, considering the way the Celtics are playing, considering the way Tatum and Brown are playing, there's no team out there the way these guys are going that the Celtics can't beat. And can't beat multiple times in a series. The only question is, can they do it 4 times in a series? I think they can. I think the Celtics are now in that contenders realm. Let's get back to the game here because some great performances. Let's get back to Tatum and Brown because Tatum and Brown did it again. 30 points each, and neither of them took 20 shots in this game. In the last game against Sacramento, I don't think that they were did I talk about the Sacramento game? Because that game was on Friday, wasn't it? And yeah, so I haven't talked about the Sacramento game either. Sacramento game was a beatdown too. And I don't really need to talk about the Sacramento game. But basically what the Celtics did in Sacramento was Tatum and Brown combined for 62 points, and neither of them took more than 20 shots. And I was like, I looked up the numbers. I tried to look on Basketball Reference. So many, scoring 30 points on less than 20 shots is not that rare an occurrence. Two teammates doing it in the same game, I think, is a rare occurrence. I couldn't find any instance of that happening. But then they went out in the next game and did it again. So against Sacramento, 62 points on 23 of 34 combined shooting, 10 of 15 from three. Against Denver, 60 points, 23 of 36 combined shooting, 9 of 16 from three. They almost duplicated their performance exactly, which is wild. If Tatum and Brown are going to be doing this, then you cannot beat the Celtics if Jaylen Brown is shooting 12 of 19 and 3 of 6 from three, and Jayson Tatum is shooting 11 of 17 and 6 of 10 from three. You're just not going to beat the Boston Celtics that way. They're combining for 60 points, half the points, and then the bench steps up and puts up and matches them, and they put up a total of 124. But regardless, there's no way you're going to survive Tatum and Brown scoring like this, because there's a good chance you're trying to take away one, and then you're trying to then you got to react to the other. And if they're doing this, then you get the other element here, which is Jayson Tatum, 7 assists. And that's where you're going to get killed, because if Jayson Tatum's dropping 7 assists to go along with Marcus Smart's 7 assists as part of a 29 assist night, you're toast. You got no shot, especially when the Celtics defense is holding a team to 40% shooting and held them to, what was it in the first half? 43 points in the first half. There's just no chance. None. So Tatum and Brown have been on fire. The only person who can be more on fire is Peyton Pritchard, who hasn't missed since the fourth quarter of the Golden State game. He was 5 for 5 in this game, 4 of 4 from three. He was perfect against Sacramento. He hasn't missed in 2 games. That stretch in the second quarter. Now against Sacramento, or again, actually it was against Golden State where he had the fourth quarter, the big fourth quarters. And so, but in this one, he was a key element in the second quarter. Playing off of Jayson Tatum, there's a screenshot out there that Tom Westerholm put out that Tatum is driving and he's collapsed the defense, and Pritchard is just standing out there wide open, like no one within 10 feet of him. And he's a really good shooter. So Tatum and Brown playing off of one another and drawing double teams. I showed a couple of clips after the Sacramento game and after the Golden State game of Jaylen drawing double teams and getting the hockey assist, the secondary assist. And he got no assists in this game, but drawing the double team and moving the ball and the ball swinging is just as good as an assist. And don't focus necessarily on the numbers there. Focus on the fact that he's drawing to and moving the ball, and it's resulting in good things happening. Tatum's the one who's getting the assists, and like, you know, hey, if that's how it works out, that's how it works out. But if those two guys are going like that, forget it. Pritchard's going to get his shots. Grant Williams was great in this game. Grant Williams, after the game, said he wanted to be called Batman because he helped keep the Joker in check, which is funny. But Jayson Tatum's like, I'm calling him Grant. I'm not calling him no damn Batman. But Grant Williams, got to call him out for the or give him a shout out, I should say, for the block on Nikola Jokic, which, you know, kind of lets Jokic go by him. Jokic makes the spin move, but he knows Jokic isn't going to go up and like be super athletic. And so he blocks him and gets the ball up to Tatum. Tatum steps into a three, and that was an amazing sequence. And then Grant in the corner, getting the ball, driving against the closeout, taking a step into the lane like Jaylen Brown, and taking a fadeaway in the middle of the lane. That little 5 to 7 foot kind of floater fading away, and he drilled it. Grant Williams doing things that we've never seen Grant Williams do before. His progression over the course of this season has been fun to watch. Not only just a knockdown three-point shooter, attacking closeouts, doing stuff like that. That was amazing. All right, that's it for the individual shout-outs. I mean, everybody had a good game. No one had a bad game, but for now, that's going to be it for the individual shout-outs. Coming back on the other side, it's going to be some really fun numbers on the road. The Celtics are loving this road. If you were watching this game and listening to it, you heard a lot of MVP chants for Jayson Tatum. You heard crowd chants, "Let's go Celtics," for the in Denver. We'll talk about that after I tell you about BetOnline, which is going to, like, if you're following along with March Madness, then that's been a fun tournament. You can go to betonline.net to check out the latest player props, odds, contests. It's the number one spot for all your sports betting needs and information, scores, podcasts, news, all of that stuff. Go check it out. Very curious about, I got to see what the opening line is in the Providence College. My PC Friars have won 2 straight games. That blowout over Richmond was fun as well. So it'd be fun to go check that out. But it's not just basketball. You can go to live betting on all these other sports. Baseball's back. They have everything there. They even have your favorite Vegas casino game. So head on over to the website. Check your mobile device. You can learn all about the trends and action. BetOnline is where the game starts. Please gamble responsibly. Hey, this win against the Denver Nuggets moves the Celtics to 22-14 against teams above 500, and exactly the same thing, 22-14 against teams below 500. Exactly even record against both. They should have a better record against teams below 500. We look back on this season, there were definitely games that they gave away. They could be they could already have 50 wins. They could be the number one seed if they had picked up a couple of those wins, but kind of fun there. 22-14, either way, against above and below. The Boston Celtics, before the season started, Ime Udoka said flat out, I want these guys to have a road warrior mentality. And he used that term. That's a direct quote about the road warrior mentality. The Celtics come into Denver and smoke the Nuggets, and they are now 20-16 on the road. They have one of the league's best net ratings since the All-Star break, the best road net rating, 14.8. They're 6-1 on the road since the All-Star break. They are 13-4 on the road since January 1st with a league-leading net rating of 15.5. They're winning games this year, 2022, since January 1st, by 14.5 points on average on the road. That is a good basketball team. That's a great team. This is a team that's, like I said before, this is a contending team. This is what you get. When you can go on the road, and yeah, there were a lot of green jerseys and hoodies and all of that stuff in the arena. Yeah, there was always going to be some loud chants for the Celtics, but the way they dominated that game, you heard "Let's go Celtics" chants in the arena. You heard Jayson Tatum getting MVP chants in the home of the reigning MVP. The Celtics' road abilities have been a huge part of why they are so successful. They were part of why this road heavy schedule was part of why I think a lot of people were afraid moving into this part of the schedule. March is going to be tough. You got to go to the road. Charlotte's no joke. Golden State, Sacramento's been playing okay. They've got some good players. Denver, obviously, you still got to go to Toronto, but the Celtics have one loss so far in March. What's this? 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1. And that one loss was that damn Spencer Dinwiddie three-pointer against Dallas. The one loss they have was on KG night. I would expect them to continue this in OKC. And who knows what happens against Toronto. I will say that I really especially hope the Celtics beat the Raptors, because I know that Toronto doesn't want to play in the play-in, but we all want them to play in the play-in. Because if Toronto is in that play-in tournament against Brooklyn, either way, Kyrie Irving doesn't play. If Cleveland slips and hosts the first one, that first play-in, then Brooklyn gets to go to Cleveland with Kyrie. You want the Raptors to keep losing and hang around in that 7th spot. So always root for Cleveland. Always root for Cleveland to keep winning here and stay in that 6th spot. And because if you get Toronto and the Nets and you got Brooklyn going into Canada and Kyrie can't play, maybe you get an upset and the Nets are out. That would just look, the Celtics, I said before, they beat the Nets. I'm not worried about them, but anytime you can get Kevin Durant out of the playoffs, you get Kevin Durant out of the playoffs. You know what I mean? So let's keep rooting for those Toronto Raptors. That's just an aside. This Celtics team, man, it's been wild, but the way I compared it on Boston Sports Journal was to an outfit. You're picking things out and you say, okay, what is this? How does this shirt fit? How does this work? And once the Celtics got rid of some ill-fitting pieces, things started to make sense. And once you start to realize, once Tatum starts to realize how to draw and kick, and the ball starts moving, and there's nobody on this team that's looking to do anything besides make the next right play. Once you eliminate, and I'm talking about Dennis Schroeder, once you eliminate Schroeder, then that opens so much up for the rest of these guys. I can't begin to tell you, and I'm not blaming everything on Schroeder, but I'm saying that he was not the right fit. And I don't want to belabor this point, but once he moved and that opened up time for Peyton Pritchard has shown he's important, at least during the regular season. We'll see what happens in the playoffs, but he'll have his moments in the playoffs as well. He should. Even getting rid of Josh Richardson, you realize that even with Derek White, he's still Derek White still makes good plays, and he had 3 assists. And hopefully he starts to figure things out shooting wise. But I was looking at 2-man combos in Derek White. The Celtics' best 2-man combo is Jayson Tatum and Derek White. Now, 2-man combos is a lot of noise and whatever, but I was looking to see where him and Jaylen Brown ranked, and the initial filter that I saw had Tatum and Derek White in there. Derek White, the whole point of that is he makes positive impact. So Celtics now have pieces that fit. And however they decide to move forward, they stay healthy the way they've been moving on, especially on the road. Now, they can go into these hostile environments. They don't care. That's a team that, like I said before, that's a contender. That's a team that can win. If you're not worried about winning on the road, you just go out there and you dominate, then you go out there and you play really, really well. Ime Udoka had a great quote. I do think that we kind of embrace playing against the home crowds. Our thing is to be who we are, regardless of home or on the road. We want to come out and set a tone. I think getting off to these really good starts defensively, teams know what we're about now, and the numbers show that. Our thing is to come out and prove that. That's all you need to know. That quote, you embrace playing in front of these home crowds. You embrace trying to shut them up. And I've said this on this podcast a ton before. Shutting up the home crowd and letting your visiting fans have like the stage is awesome. We want to come out. Our thing is to come out and prove that. Prove who you are. Celtics are a defensive team. And you know what? We're going to show you every single day. Celtics are a defensive team. Get the stops, get the rebounds, run. Let Jayson Tatum do his thing. Take advantage of these, DeMarcus Cousins out there giving him 10 feet of space like it's me out there trying to shoot a three-pointer, not Jayson Tatum. I mean, come on. This Celtics team, it's a good team. This good team goes into OKC. I don't know what the plan is for Ime. I assume no Al Horford. That's my guess. And I assume one of the Jays might sit, maybe both, or might play limited time. Maybe it could be like a final preseason game, play the first half and then sit in the second half. But there will be, I am sure, some change in the lineup. So I will be back after the game, as I always am, Monday through Friday, to talk about the game, talk about what's next, and then carry you through the week. So make sure you're subscribed to this free Celtics podcast. Monday through Friday drops. And, it's what more can you ask? It's on YouTube. You can watch a show on YouTube. Say hi. I'll wave to you. Hello on YouTube. And, of course, if you are a regular listener, a subscriber, a watcher, then I would ask this favor. Share the podcast. Tell your friends, tell everybody to listen to and watch the Locked On Celtics podcast. It's right here on the Locked On Podcast Network.